Hello, and welcome to another episode of Into the MoTaverse. Today, I have Abby Bangser with me. She is a principal founding engineer of Syntasso, and we go way back, many years. And she'll probably correct me on this. Is it the second test bash, I think? I might be wrong on that one, but I kind of convinced her to keep coming back and to speak.
I think it was bullying me into a 99-second talk. It was 2014, I believe. So you can tell me if it was second or third. It was
third.
It was down in Brighton. It was after the Cambridge era. So yeah.
Yeah, the third one. And yeah, we've just kept in touch over the years. I can't remember if you did talks or workshops mostly. But yeah, we've been in touch. It's been great to keep in touch and see how you've evolved your career as well. I've been speaking to a few people from the past, which has been quite fun for me. It's been a great excuse to catch up. I don't know if you know, like Kim Nupp and Amy Phillips. It's just been so good to catch up, see where people are at, and just how people's tech careers are going. And I guess for me, it's great to hear it from the quality perspective, like people who've grown up from a quality background and are now in different roles, but still doing great things but still have that kind of quality knowledge. I think is kind of cool. But yeah, welcome, Abby. It's great to have you here. Would you like to say hello and introduce yourself from your perspective?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. So, no, it's been very fun to stay in touch, and I haven't spoken with Kim too recently, but Amy I catch up with once in a while. I am lucky to maintain a lot of friendships from my time of being more present in the QA and testing space and quality space. So that was where I started my career, and I'd like to think I'm still in that, even if my titles have changed. I often introduce myself as saying that I started, that quality is my focus, and that I've been on internal tooling for my whole career. So original title was QA, but from there I went into titles like DevOps and platform engineering and SRE. And I'm currently, as you say, a principal engineer building tooling for those internal teams, for platform engineering teams. So one thing I guess I'd say that hasn't changed at all is the internal focus. So how do I support our colleagues rather than buying customers? And then the other thing is the socio-technical side of things. I think that's where Mott really shines in my history and my experiences. And I continue to carry that flag of that, everything that we're doing has socio and technical aspects to it. And one way in which I think I embody that is that I hold two kind of ambassadorships. So CNCF ambassador, the Cloud Native Computing Foundation is a very Kubernetes and technical focused foundation with some great work, across the spectrum, but is very technical in nature. And in contrast, I am a advocate for Team Topologies, which is very focused on team structures and organizational structures and how teams interact with each other. And I think the combination of those two is how we have success with supporting our internal teams with building software safely and quickly.
Yeah, how would you say that these kind of communities per se would have influenced your career?
I mean, literally every day that I get to speak with people, my career is influenced. So I think that my history with MOT from back in, as we say, 2014 had, immense impact. So first of all, I joke that you bullied me into stage on the 99-second talk, but genuinely the encouragement and the confidence that you gave to me to be on that stage has transformed me now into a keynote speaker. The testing community and the quality community gave me my first ever keynote and continues to support me in so many different ways. So I think that opened doors for me for global travel, for sharing my experiences, for learning from others when I got to attend those conferences and all that. So So that was one thing. Another piece of it was thinking about how to communicate. So I think with quality, so much about success with quality is how to bring other people on the journey. It's kind of like security in that nobody really, security is a part of quality, right? Nobody wants to talk about it, but everyone needs it. And if you can find ways to bring the quality to someone to show them how it will help them actually move faster if they build in quality and testing, then that makes a big difference. And so that taught me a ton there. And then moving into my more recent communities, so around the CNCF and Team Topologies, I think it's all the same experiences, just in now newer domains. So again, I'm learning from people at conferences. I'm getting access to experts I can call up and ask questions of, which is amazing, while also figuring out how to communicate the value of those specialties, right? Which is always the challenge on teams that have diverse skills, is you need to all share why each of those diverse skills is high value to the organization and to the team.
Yeah, I mean, whilst we're not going to focus on this topic, I can't help myself when it comes to community. But like, obviously, like one of my biggest challenges is continuously. It's like it's always been a challenge, but it seems to evolve over time. But like, as I've been like doing this podcast or exploring how to, what's next for like MOT, and when I speak to people, it's like, oh my God, we met 15 years ago, and I see you all grow, and a lot of you are like in these leadership roles, and the community has been such an important stepping stone or part of whatever you want to call it, right? And I can see, I can connect people to other people. It's like these people met at this point, and now look what they're doing, right? But then, like, the challenge becomes, it's like, how do I get people to see that in community so that they invest, right? And it's basically a never-ending open question for me. It's like, how can I get people to see that, or how can I get like the leaders of today, such as yourself, such as Amy Phillips and Kim Knopp, how can I get them to advocate for us and not forget like that we're still here and that we're still trying to invest into the future of testing or quality or tech. And sometimes I feel like people forget, right? Or we're so busy, we've all got our own lives. But I guess for me, just talking to people is just like, it's just opened my mind. It's like, isn't it cool you're doing other things? And isn't it cool that we didn't not necessarily started out together, but we met early on in our path. And that feels important to recognize. And I don't know if people recognize that, or maybe they do and I just don't realize it. I don't know. Do you have any, that was a bit of a rant, but do you have any thoughts around that?
No, it's not a rant. I love it. It's really sharing the emotion behind it. I think I hear what you're saying about the investment side of things, but one thing I will say is sometimes like in this like hustle culture, they'll show like the tree of startups that got started from a single successful company, right? And you'll be like, oh, look at eBay and everyone who came off of eBay, or so on. And I think that one thing that I would look back on from a community point of view is if you look at the tree of humans that all came together at that early stage in all of our journeys, as you say, I believe that we're building the communities that we witnessed and that we enjoyed. And so we're kind of paying it forward almost, in the sense that like I'm now an emeritus lead of a community group within the CNCF around platform engineering. And what I'm really excited about is that I helped bring along new leaders within that group. So the current leaders are not people who have been leaders of community groups in the past. So this is their first time doing that. And as an emeritus leader myself now, as just a member of the group, I'm helping to encourage, just like you did for me years ago to get on stage, I'm helping encourage people to get involved with how to step into leadership roles, how to do that. So I think that that community 15 years ago taught us what it means to not just be open, but to actually sponsor OpenShip, to actually sponsor people into engaging and leading within community. At least I believe that that's how I now operate, and I think it is unique in the world around me.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that I'm passing that forward to people who will do the same for the next generation after them, and this will all sort of tie back to the experience that I had from you and whoever you learned it from, or however you chose to pass that on.
Yeah.
That's where I'm taking it from. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like sometimes we go to meetups and like there's people who haven't been around for years and they always regret not having shown up and they realize, oh, I'm showing up now, but I should have come years ago. Just as an example. But yeah, but then there's other people that like just it almost takes that like one eye-opening moment for people to realize like what community could be or the value of it. But until they experience that or until someone gives that kind of bit of encouragement, it's really hard to communicate what that is. And I still feel like so many people are missing that. And it's like, how can we change this? But that's a whole other story. But yeah, for today we kind of we've chosen a broad topic to dive into. We don't really know where it's going to go, but taking your kind of experience now as a kind of platform engineer, I guess, we have a topic of platform as software. So do you want to educate me about platform as software, because I don't know anything. So teach me your ways.
Of course. So, so I think as you say, I'm sort of in that platform engineering space. I actually think it's so close to a lot of the space I've been in historically around quality and internal tooling and support systems, right? In that platform engineering is a focus on providing the tools and support that individuals and teams at an organization need to be successful. Now, this is a really interesting journey because maybe 10, 15 years ago, you would think of that as internal operations. So IT or operations where you'd say, hey, centralized team, let me open a ticket and wait a few months to go get access to something I might need. Think about when we used to have test environments, we refused to give up because we were like, we're never going to get this back. It's going to take us months to get another test environment, right? And then that was really frustrating. And so there was a bit of a pendulum swing towards decentralized operations, and we call that DevOps, where individual teams were enabled to get and to build and do what they needed to get the tools they needed. So you'd have individual teams creating their own infrastructure in cloud providers and in different machines and everything else. What's happening right now is, while that helped create autonomy and a lot of speed, it also created a lot of potential waste, so duplication of effort, and a lot of risk, because the people who are creating all of that infrastructure probably don't have the experience or the desire to maintain it in the way that experts in infrastructure have. And so you have lots of sort of phantom servers and other things running around in your ecosystem that are costing money, that have exploits possibility on them, security risks, and all that. So what platform engineering is doing is it is pendulum swinging back towards centralized ops, but doing so in a learning way, ideally. So it's saying, how do we create that beautiful experience of cloud providers? So, the big three, Amazon, Google, and Azure, Microsoft Azure. How do we create that experience of accessing what you need when you need it without delay, but do so within the safety net of what's allowed and expected within my organization? So platform engineering is about taking what is unique to your organization, so the things that you can't just buy off the shelf straight from the cloud providers, what is unique to your organization, but common enough across your teams that you can create a sort of a internal economy of scale. So you can create your own little cloud provider that provides a lot of value across your organization. And at the end of the day, while we're getting infrastructure from those cloud providers, they are writing software to offer it to us. And that's what platform engineering is then doing. We're writing software in our organizations to be able to provide APIs and experiences for our teams to access the tools they need to do their jobs. So that was a lot of words. Let's see what I can do to make that easier.
Could you give an example, perhaps from a quality perspective, of what kind of things people have built internally to help them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the most obvious example from a quality point of view is the ability to spin up an ephemeral environment per kind of pull request or per change. So we all know that experience when we're using certain SaaS providers, certain like websites that we can leverage. So Vercel, Heroku, Cloud Foundry, these different really great platform as a service products where when you make a pull request, when you make a change, they could give you a test environment automatically. I've worked in many regulated environments where using those amazing tools just isn't an option. And so I just longingly stare out the window at them and wish that I could have that experience. And when you build your own platform, you actually can, right? When you have that ability to create things on demand, create things through API, all of a sudden creating a test environment per change is really, really easy and really can unlock a speed to market for you and speed to testing.
And does that work in regulated environments as well? Are there lots of regulated type companies? That's probably not the right wording, but are there companies who need to be under regulation? That's totally wrong. But are there a lot of big companies like using like platform as a service as a way to operate within the constraints that they have?
Yeah, I think they're using the ideals of platform as a service and the ideals of a cloud provider, and they're then recreating that experience, but in their regulated environment. So regulation doesn't inherently mean you can't have fun. It just means you have to sort of pay a bit of a price of doing it in a more more not shut down, but a more protected way. So, for example, you might have to do everything in a air-gapped environment, meaning that you can't talk to the internet. Now, it doesn't mean you can't do anything. It just means you have to pre-download and pre-scan and approve anything you might need from the internet to be able to do it. It doesn't actually stop you from things like test environments on demand. It just creates that upfront cost that can feel expensive for any one team to do. But when you put that onto an internal platform engineering team, and the platform engineering team all of a sudden can see that there isn't just one team that needs that. There's 10, there's 100, there's even 1,000 at some of the scale that I'm working at, teams that can benefit. Now all of a sudden paying that price once, downloading those resources once so they can be run in that regulated environment is worth it. And that's where platform engineering creates such an economy of scale internal to an organization. It really can provide a lot of value.
Would you say that platform engineering is a bit like no code internally?
So I think platform engineering can provide a no code like experience to the internal users, in the sense that what platform engineering should do is it should abstract away how something gets done and just give you the things that you need on top of it. So if you need a test environment, you don't care where it's running, you don't care how it's running, you don't care how it's created. You care that you have a URL that you can hit, you care that you have access to the logs or other telemetry that it's creating. You care that it has some test data in it that's useful. And you care that no one's going to come knocking at your door saying, hey, you're not keeping up with your security requirements per, the CISO at the company. That's what you care about. You don't care that it's running in a cloud or on-prem or in Kubernetes or in, on a server or anything like that. And so platform engineering would draw the line and say, we'll take care of how, you just worry about, what it is you need, and which is sort of the no-code experience.
Yeah. Would you say, like, what kind of skills does a person need to help set stuff up? Is it a generalist type skill, or is it a very technical skill? Is it like a mixture of it all.
To build the platform APIs.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the day, you kicked off what we're going to talk about is that this is software, right? So
Yeah.
it's a software team. So what I've been seeing, the most successful teams I see come with a multidisciplinary approach, just like any other very successful software team. So they tend to have people who are infrastructure aware and experienced, because at the end of the day, they tend to be building infrastructure. It'd be like having domain experts within a complex domain software project, right? But it also has generalist software engineers, so people who know how to architect software, write software, create APIs, that kind of thing. And then it's often really beneficial to have people who have quality mindsets or user experience mindsets or product mindsets or some combination of those, because at the end of the day, you're creating this kind of, as you say, no code experience. If you don't understand what your users want to get from it, then you're not probably creating the experience that they can easily use and get value from. So yeah, it's just like any other software team. It needs a bit of everything.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's easy for people to jump ahead and think that because it's a bit different or it's internal, that you don't need the technical knowledge. But actually, even, like people talking about AI, is like, oh, anyone can build something now with AI, but actually you can't really, because you still need to know how to build products or how to build businesses and how, maintain it and all of those kind of things. But yeah,
I was just going to say, I think with the AI thing, I agree. It's, in particular, I think the thing that's most important when you're building these internal products is to think about what it means to support them over time. And so that's the thing that I think people are learning when they quote unquote vibe code with AI. They can get these amazing high powered, essentially prototypes, and they can even get these amazing high powered, fully functioning services. So it is really amazing what you can build these days. But if you don't have experience and the kind of the nose to tell you, hey, this is going to be extensible in the long term. Hey, this is going to be maintainable in the long term. Hey, this is going to be something that like I can actually evolve with the needs of my users, then that's going to start to weigh on you over time. And I think that's true for these internal tools. If you don't think about the fact that there isn't going to be only one test environment, there's going to be tens or hundreds of them. I need to think about what it means to patch them all when there's a security fault, or manage the costs across them, or whatever. You're going to struggle in the long term, even if you can get started quite quickly. So, yeah.
And in a sense, like product building or software product building is learning to anticipate all these things that might come up, that if you haven't done it before, you just don't know, right? It's like there's just so many things that you can be hit by. Internally, we have something called the R test, like the R test. It's like so it's like when we're building something, we ask ourselves, is this passing the R test? Does this make us go, yeah, this feels good? Is this in the right direction? And it's basically just a sense check, and we apply it to all our conversations. It's like, is this heading in the direction? And we can emoji react with say, this is good. Or if we ship something and we start using it, we're like, this is heading in the right direction. This is where we want to be going, or this is making our life easier, or this is creating great results, or if we see something that we've built that's being used and someone else is commenting on it, saying thank you or something, and we go like, we've built something and it's the signs are good. But your comments there kind of made me think of that. It's like, we need to think about what we're building, right? Because that really ties into the maintainability of things.
That's very cool. I think it's if platform engineering is doing its job well, it should be unlocking more and more time for you to be thinking about the test, right? It's the big thing here is like without effective platforms, the people who are building software have to spend more and more time doing the non-differentiating work, the getting the CI/CD pipelines working, the getting access to infrastructure, the upgrades of that infrastructure, and all those things, and that just eats away. I think I saw a stat somewhere that it's like 80% of most organizations is spent on a level of maintenance and ongoing keep the lights on work, and only 20% is on moments. And so the question is can platform engineering reduce the amount of maintenance on the product and value creating external facing software engineering teams enough to be able to give them more and more time to spend on that experience side of things? And that is the real measure of success for platforms.
And it's also kind of just as we've been using it internally, we've been loving it, but it's just even things like I built a spam bot with Claude recently. So I probably spend like two to 3 hours of my week like dealing with spam still. And it's hard to automate it, but I use Claude to not automate it, but to save me time.
Yeah.
So there's a thing, goes through some profile detail, and it sends me a report every morning saying these are most likely spam accounts. So literally, it takes me 2 minutes instead of half an hour every day, kind of thing. And and that's such a good example of it was just like I've just like freed up 2 hours of my week. Still, awesome. Like as a CEO, still moderating spam, but it is what it is. But it's just like it's also like empowering the team to spot these efficiencies. So it's like we're all paying attention to it, and we all literally like in team meetings, like we literally just like say it out loud. We're like and we all know what it means, but it becomes such a focus of ours that this is what we're aiming for. It's like everything we're doing is aiming for these often small improvements, right? But we all recognize them as a team, and it all kind of motivates us to look for the right opportunities.
I love it.
But it's just something I geek out on. But how would you say, like, for platform engineering, in the context of quality, which is so broad, really? And I guess if we look at the history of testing and quality, it's changed a lot. I think it's changing for the better. I think like there's general kind of shift towards like quality engineering rather than just testing overall. And that's something we're definitely, as a company, are kind of advocating for. It's not testing in isolation. And, partly like I'm doing these conversations because it's like, I don't feel like I can improve quality without speaking to everyone in tech, right? How can I don't know how I can improve quality if I don't understand things from like your perspective. It doesn't make sense. But how do you see quality changing, or what things could we possibly get rid of that we're doing now through platform engineering, or do differently?
Yeah, I think maybe I'd point at, this is now 3 or 4 years old, maybe. There was a blog post written by a gentleman at Google called Richard Seroter, and he used the phrasing, don't shift left, shift down. And so what I would say is that, like any other kind of pithy statement, there are pros and cons to the statement, right? The intention behind shift left was to get faster feedback. What it led to was the statement high cognitive load, right? The statement that by pushing things for faster feedback, all of a sudden we ask the software delivery teams and software developers to generate a lot more understanding and testing and quality awareness and all of that earlier in the process. And so a lot went onto their shoulders, and they rightfully are like, hang on now, like what else can I do here? Like I have no more time in my day when I take in all these things that have shifted left. So what Richard is saying is, yes, you want fast feedback, but actually putting that onto the kind of heads and shoulders of the people who are building software may not be the right way to get that fast feedback. Might not be the most sustainable and scalable. So what he talks about is taking the feedback loops and pushing them into the platform layer. And this would be where platform engineering comes into play. So if what you're saying is that you care deeply about static analysis or security scanning or performance, memory leaks, and anything else that might be things that you want to catch as early as possible before they hit your users in production, how do you build those feedback loops into the system in such a way where it's transparent to the users unless they need to know about it? So when someone's writing new software, they make commits. If their commits are not triggering any issues, they have no idea. But now if they do trigger some sort of an issue, they pull in a package that has a security vulnerability, or they introduce a infinite loop, or something else that could be going wrong from a security, performance, quality point of view, and you pass that feedback back with information about why that matters and how to fix it, that's all of a sudden shifting the feedback faster, but shifting the mechanism for that feedback down into the platform. And that is where you really get high leverage as an organization. So that is where I think platform engineering can really help with quality.
So you're saying that the platform would enable that, make that easier, and it would be built in and I guess easier to activate or make use of.
Yeah, really effective platforms should enable the experts who know how to scan and test for those things to build tooling that does so in that transparent but really usable way for the software delivery teams and the consumers of that platform.
That's really interesting. I think it's such a good point because in MOT we talk a lot about shifting, and I think we've said shift left, shift right, shift everywhere, but I've not heard shift down.
Welcome to shift down, shift everywhere. I can't wait until shift up. I don't know where shift up is coming from, but it's going to be something good. It's going to be something good.
What is shift up? I'm gonna have to coin it now. What could shift up
there you
be?
go. There you go.
That's so cool. Sorry. It kind of lost me on that one. But where would you say? What do you think quality engineers should be doing, like from a platform engineering perspective? How should we be thinking, or what kind of things could we ask or advocate to build with a platform engineering mindset?
Oh, the world is your oyster, Rosie. The world is your oyster. So I think there's a few different angles, and it'll depend a little bit on who you are in your shape of quality engineer, a little bit about where your organization is at, a little bit about where your platform is at, your organization. So I'll give a few ideas maybe. So idea number one is that you should challenge the platform to provide you the tools that you need. I love to try and describe that when I speak to my non-software engineering friends, I often have to remind them that life can be easier. They're like, I'm like, why don't you ask me? I can help you with this. I can write code. Like this crazy thing you're doing in Excel, like or Google Sheets or whatever, I can help you with this. And they're like, honestly, Abby, I didn't even know to ask. And as a quality engineer, I think the challenge I would pose to people is to say, think about where you're spending your time, thinking about where you're spending your energy, and think about that's adding value or if it's non-differentiating work. And when you can identify that you're spending time on things that are non-differentiating, go speak to platform engineers, talk to them, ask them how you can make this easier and better, and maybe they can help you. So that would be one, is challenge the platform to provide you the tools that make you more powerful and more productive. Number two is actually become a contributor to the platform. So not only should you be challenging for the tools that you need, but actually, how do you provide the services you offer to the organization as a service on the platform? So I mentioned I love the Team Topologies space, and I love that work that was done with that book. They talk about different interaction models, and I think as quality engineers, we work in all three. So the first is collaboration, the second is facilitation, and the third is X as a service. So with collaboration, it's, hey, you and me, Rosie, let's sit down, let's figure this out. And I do that a lot as a quality engineer. I sit down with people, I talk to them about what their risks are, we figure out what the testing strategy might be, and we figure out what we're going to do. Then you talk about facilitation. Again, do this a lot. What does it look like to build quality advocates within the organization, to have a community of practice? That is more of like a broadcast situation. I, as a quality expert, might challenge and support and encourage people around the organization. The third is where you really get high leverage. You go from one-to-one to one-to-many to very high leverage impact, because everything's now provided automatically or by an API or by a service. So how can you push your service offerings into the platform to be consumed transparently by your users? So that would be the second one. And then the third one is go make the platform quality. So I started my career in platform engineering as a test engineer, a quality engineer on the platform engineering team with Amy Phillips. So Amy Phillips was the engineering manager on a platform engineering team. It was a space I was really interested in, and she was saying they had an open space for a quality engineer on their team. And so I joined the platform engineering team with a quality mindset. I was just part of that team. I was bringing in that experience. I was bringing in that focus point, but we were trying to build the best thing we could, including testing, including user experience, including sustainable, maintainable software. And that was a great way for me to learn how to build internal tooling. So yeah, I think those are the three areas that I think, depending on who you are and what you want to achieve in your career, you could look to get involved in as a quality engineer in the platform space.
Do you think quality engineers are getting better at finding that confidence to reach out, or how do you see I guess quality engineers in general in how they, I wouldn't say perform, but in how I think it's about confidence, or maybe it's even like an equal standing alongside other engineers, because definitely, like when I started my career, like testers didn't feel like at that level. Do you feel it's getting better? And perhaps maybe what I'm getting at is like, what can we do to help quality engineers level up and find that confidence to kind of just level up their skills and reach out and do more?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'll be honest, I don't think I've been in the like quality engineer specific space enough recently to be able to articulate if I think it's better or worse. I have been around some amazing quality engineers who are doing amazing things. So I know there are people in the space having that confidence to reach out. Whether or not that is more or less than 10 years ago, I can't say. But what I will say is that I have a monkey on my back of having not been a software engineer growing up, not having a software engineering degree of any sort, and that has been a monkey on my back for my whole career. And yet now that it just isn't there anymore, because with AI, this is my heyday. Wait, are you telling me that the people who are best at writing code today are the ones that are best at thinking about how to ask for what they want to achieve, what outcomes they want to achieve, and that the challenges with writing software today is not about understanding the syntax of software, but is understanding what good looks like and how to validate it and how to architect it and how to think about it over time. Hang on. I know a lot of quality engineers, and that is their strengths, right? So all this spec-driven development, all of this evals associated with building kind of sustainably with AI are the things that the quality engineers I know are most well suited for. And so I would say, if you don't have the confidence today as a quality engineer to step into those roles I was talking about, I would highly recommend having a look at what it looks like to build with AI, because the leaders in the space, the software engineering leaders in the space, are all describing, from what I can see, your skill sets. So try and jump in and see what you can do with it. So
I agree. And it's kind of like, I guess, an exciting place potentially, or even more potentially for quality engineers. And that's kind of where my head is at the moment, is that I think we could do more and we should do more, or I'm trying to advocate for us to do more, because we do have these skills. And almost like talking to people like yourself and Amy Phillips, is like there's proof there that like in some places I still see like the classic, like I don't know where my testing or quality career is going. I'm at a dead end. There's nowhere else for me to go, and I'm like, that's a load of nonsense. You just it's like like this is proof of it, right? And but people aren't seeing that. They're just like seeing this, like, is it this wall that they've hit, and they can't see any way out.
I do think it's the age-old challenge. So on one side, I would say be creative and look at the fact that there's depth and there's breadth. Like, do you want to be the best accessibility-based tester in the industry or in your company or whatnot, or security or performance or some other depth-based focus? Or do you want to do breadth? What does quality mean at a larger scale within your organization? What does quality mean outside of your team, but to your department or to something else, right? There's sort of those two areas. But I will say that there are organizations that do and don't give opportunities to different roles, right? And so if you are feeling like there's nowhere to go in your career, have a think about what organizations would support that kind of quality from a holistic point of view, because I definitely found that in the team I worked with Amy on, and that sort of unlocked. I became an SRE after that, which in my opinion, SRE is just quality at the systems level, and so on. So sometimes it just takes a matter of finding the organization that has a little bit of vision for the fact that quality is necessary and not pigeonholed. So
when you go back to platform engineering, when you're thinking about platform as software, and I guess a more traditional sense that people are more familiar with, like, to achieve something with testing, I need to adopt a certain tool, an automated tool, whatever, or AI tool now, whatever it might be. How do those either conflict, or how do they support one another?
Let me just make sure I understand correctly. So what you're saying is that often people in the quality engineering space can look at sort of their work from a tool-based perspective, and how does that relate to platform engineering? So I think it's pretty much the same as it's always been, if I'm honest. Like, you can look at platform engineering as, and I as a CNCF ambassador, I see lots of people who look at it as, I can implement Kubernetes. I can implement Kubernetes projects in Kubernetes. And that's a very specific implementation, which may be sufficient in your organization, but may be too narrow or not impactful, not outcome driven enough, right? So I think that I struggle with that mindset, because that's just never been my mindset. I've always been of the opinion that you are trying to solve problems. And if you can do it without writing a line of code, even better, if you can do it by deleting lines of code, then you are succeeding, as long as you solve the problem. And so, yeah, I'd encourage people to think about what the outcomes are and the problems they're solving over what tools they're using. But at the same time, I understand the world of DV-driven development, and that there is a reality of careers and people trying to do what's best for their own kind of future, and all that. But I do think that is limiting in some degree, because it takes away that focus on the value that's being created by the team and by the organization.
Yeah, I guess especially in the testing world or quality world, I just feel like people default to like a tools mindset to solve a problem, rather than, I guess it's probably changing more now, where a lot more people are thinking about the system, as in systems thinking. It's not, obviously it's not about the tools specifically, but more thinking about products and businesses and quality as part of the system. and trying to figure out the best solution to the problem. But there's still like that lagging thing of, we need a tool. Is this, the best tool? And it kind of gets stuck in that tool mindset rather than solving the problem. And yeah, I don't know if there's any people who have written anything around that mindset in general.
Don't have anything in my head right now, but I'll think on that, because I do think it's something I try to embody. So it's definitely something I've spoken with people about and all of that. So I will have a think on if I can identify any writings on the subject.
But yeah, I think we're coming to a good natural end. Abby, do you have any other thoughts that maybe we didn't cover that you'd like to have a dive into?
I guess if we're talking about possibly speaking to people who haven't done a lot of platform engineering or aren't very aware of it, maybe I'll give a couple strings to pull on. Aside from the ideas I've shared, I mentioned the Shift Down blog that they say is a few years old from Richard Seroter. The other string I'd suggest pulling on is there's a gentleman named Gregor Hophe who has written a book about platform engineering and also is prolific in his blog writing and video presenting. And what I think he does a really great job of focusing on, and I wrote a blog about this myself on the New Stack, around the thinnest viable platform. And what it really tries to reinforce is that when you're building and using platforms at your organization, they should be the things that are bringing value to your organization that you can't just buy off the shelf. So a lot of quality engineers I know are familiar with like Wardley mapping, where you look at, what is a commodity, what is widely available on the market versus what is unique to your business. Gregor applies that a bit to platform engineering, if not by name, by concept, by saying the things that are common to the world should be purchased. The things that are unique to your business need to be built by your business. But really the value of that platform is the stuff that's unique to your business but common to your teams. And so that's where you create that layer of platform engineering, and you want to keep that as tight and valuable as possible. So yeah, Richard Seroter, Gregor Hophe, and then I have a bunch of stuff out there I can give some links to that might be helpful. But I think look for value in your organization, look for duplication of effort, and figure out how you can push that into a maintained service that makes it feel like it's a cloud provider service. It's so easy to use, no friction, high value. That's what the platform wants to be building.
Yeah. I like the thinnest viable platform.
Yeah, instead of minimum viable. Yeah. Minimum viable is how you get started. Thinnest viable is how you maintain a minimal viable. So yeah.
I love the simplicity, and maybe that's the trend of where things are going, even though things aren't simple. But trying to be as simple as possible, I guess, is something that I could definitely get behind. Is reduce the complexity, I guess, because especially in the testing world, man, there's just like so much unnecessary stuff. It's like, does this add value? And I hope we can, as we can like make it thinner, as we can customize, as we can simplify and have control over that. It's almost like we're we should be able to question everything we're doing and adapt it, in line with the artist. At every point we should go, we want to make it this quality process simpler. How can we make it simpler? Yeah. And it's like, I guess there's correlation between thinnest and the artist that simple. It's just like so much opportunity to simplify, I think, because everything's been so complex, or technology has changed so much over the years, that we have to internally change how we do things. But yeah, the thinnest viable platform. I think we'll end on that.
Thanks for having me.
It's been awesome, Abby. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. and I'll see you in the MoTaverse.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.